Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be Inside the Draft, I think Volume 2 for EA and I. And once again, we're going to focus on edge defenders. We only have two pictured on the screen, AKHEEM Mesidor, Zion Young of Missouri. And we're also going to talk about an interesting prospect, I think, and somebody that EA likes a whole lot, and that's R. Mason Thomas from Oklahoma. Are you enjoying studying just one position at a time, or do you find time to branch out and do other stuff? Because I haven't.
Yeah, last night I found myself again back to nose tackles. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I've been watching nose tackles a lot lately. I've been looking for that hidden edge guy. There's a couple guys that are getting like some buzz, and I won't mention their names, but not impressed by some of these, not yet anyway, that I found. But so I've been watching a ton of edge guys, a little bit of nose tackle.
Do you feel like maybe our opinions are jaded, or maybe it's just my own, or slanted, maybe is a better word? Do you feel like there's quality depth in this draft for edge defender? Because I do.
Not sure. I'm not sure if we get much. I think all the guys that we've covered so far are gone
by 45.
45. So 6 guys, maybe with R. Mason hanging around that long, but the other 5 I think are gone. You like the guy from Penn State a lot.
I mean,
92.
You mean Ohio State Curry?
Curry, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, and he's a guy that I think is probably there. My guess for him is in the, this is probably early. I think a wide range for Curry exists. Sometimes as you get further in the draft, 4th and 5th round, it is a wider range. Some team may have a gap in their selections. They may have a pick at 105 and not have another pick until 180 or 210. So they may take a guy early. And it's annoying to me to hear some of these front office guys talk about, we didn't have a 3rd round grade on that guy, so we left him out there. You have a positional need, and you're not addressing it.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't address, I'm kind of talking about the Detroit Lions. You didn't address it in free agency, talking about D-end, and didn't address it in the draft last year when there was guys to do it with. So for me, to apply a range to someone in the 4th and 5th round is a very gray or murky area.
Mm-hmm. When you mentioned him, I've begun to watch him, and you know me, Coach. As soon as I see a guy do this,
yeah,
I'm a fan. I'm a fan. As soon as I see that, I'm into it. And
Curry's solid.
He would be a great second edge. If we double dip, a great second edge.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons, not just Curry, but other guys. And R. Mason Thomas is one. I think we're both in agreement. He'll probably be there, at 45. And these other guys, R. Mason Thomas will be close, but I personally think he probably is there. Even though he's a good football player, there's just a lot of talent out there. I'm not co-signing what so many other people have said about this draft, that they're just not, that it's a weak draft. Maybe it's weak for quarterbacks. Maybe the wide receiver position looks different to some people, but I don't think it's a weak draft at all. I think edge defender, corners especially. I would love to do some of these about corners, you and I.
Corners and safeties. There's a lot of good safety play. Who's the guy, the LSU safety?
AJ Halsey.
Yeah.
I will point out to people who are watching. Let's see, because of the snow and everything, I lost track of days. But to people who are watching on Tuesday morning when this is intended to release, we've got a Google Drive. I'll put the link in the description, and I'll put the link in the chat. And that Google Drive will have film of these guys that we're talking about. We're going to start off with Mesidor here in a moment. Got 2 videos on Mesidor in that folder, and that folder should have viewer permission. So anybody, clicks on the link should be able to, view it. And there's one on Zion Young. When we get to him, I believe we're going to talk about him second. And I do not have a full-length film in there on R. Mason Thomas, but there is a folder in there with individual cut-ups for him. There's just not a full-length file in the 2 to 3 minute range. All right, you want to do Mesidor first? I know you've mentioned to me a couple of times that you go back and forth on him, right?
I do. Yeah, there's a couple of things I noticed about him that I'd say might need cleaning up. And let me know what you think of this coach. Um, in terms of him playing the run, I think he's slow off the ball and a little bit late in getting his eyes up. Um, and I think he's a little bit late in diagnosing the backfield.
That's
Um,
a habit that is there across. You and I don't watch the same games all the time, and that's kind of intentional. At least for me, we've never mentioned to each other, hey, watch these games, and I think it's great. It would be great if we were watching four separate games from each other. My
mhm,
suspicion is we're probably there's probably some overlap. You know what I mean?
mhm. I
I
do
know we
like
watched.
I
Go
do
ahead.
like very much. One thing I like about him is what you have at the bottom there, that positional versatility. Like him from the inside as a rusher.
Fantastic.
Really like him from the inside. Quick hands. They lined him up at 4 tech, 5 tech, wide nine, big hands. He's got a good punishing tackler. I did write down that he's susceptible to cut blocks for whatever that's worth. I don't think he's as consistent. He can get his feet stopped running through contact. I did see him lower his eyes in the run game when
Yeah.
engaged. But that said, there's a part of me that keeps going back to how he fits in Baltimore, and
So game ready with his moves. I think his moves, him and TJ Parker to me are the guys of the group that we've talked about that have the most instantaneous reactions. A move and then a reaction that becomes a counter move, but it happens so fast that regular people like us, we just probably think it's all the same move. When someone's really good at it, TJ Parker, Mesidor, I mean Ruben Bain, obviously those guys, they're running those moves together so quickly that you kind of can't tell, okay, is that a counter to,
mhm,
or was that intentional? Did they pre-plan that? And I think Mesidor is instantaneous hand usage,
yeah.
along with TJ Parker. Of the guys that we've talked about, I think they're the best at utilizing their hand. Cassius Howell belongs there too.
Mhm. Yeah, I know there's a part of the brain that operates at a high level in terms of that hand fighting, where you'll see them chop with their outside arm and grab the guy's inside arm with his wrist and throw that, and
Accurate.
it's not really a counter as such. It's just all happening spontaneously. Um, and you said I believe you said Messidor put you in the mind of Kyle Van Noy. Is that
Absolutely. From
okay?
a pass rush standpoint, yeah. I mean, the run defense and the versatility dropping in coverage, no one deserves to get mentioned in that way with Kyle Van Noy. That no draft pick. I mean, I couldn't have a higher opinion of Kyle Van Noy from his career. What he came to Baltimore and did in 2025 wasn't statistically the same production. He did get the interception against the Bengals that he lateraled to lateraled to the safety to take back to the house. So he still had moments,
Hmm.
but it just wasn't there for the entirety of the year. But who was right for this defense?
Right.
Mesidor to me in pass rush situations because of the versatility. He can go from the right, he can go from the left, interior, exterior, edge defender, pick stunts, all of those things. He reminds me of Kyle Van Noy,
Hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of times it's important for me to remind myself that these guys are just coming out of college,
even
and
though he's 24. Yeah,
even if he's 24. Yeah. Does that concern you? The fact that
no,
he will be 25. Yeah.
no, no. I mean, if it were, however, let me rephrase that. If it weren't attached to injury history, then I would absolutely no. But given that it is attached to an injury history, then yeah. I mean, if there weren't injuries suffered at least one year, then he would probably have been out in last year's draft. But the whole like surface level thing. Oh, he's 25 playing against 18-year-old kids. No, he's not. These tackles he's going against are 21, 22 years old. You know, So I don't, and besides, 3 years from now, they'll all be playing against each other in the NFL. No one will care about how old they are.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people who get hung up on age. Hey, Ravens fans did it when we signed Derrick Henry. He's a 30-year-old running back. His time is over. where are you now 2 years later when he's, been the best running back in the league, or, top 2 or 3 running backs in the league for 2 seasons for us. So no, it doesn't concern me if it's independent of or isn't attached to an injury history. In this case, it is. I don't know if I like the fact that he can be in a 2-point. It's a positive. He can be in a 2-point or a 3-point, and he can still rush. But for me, I like him better in a 3-point stance.
Mm-hmm.
Rushing the passer, I mean.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any where it says size concerns, Coach?
I think it's the length and the height is what I think people. I put that because that's what's out there about him.
Okay.
I don't, as an edge defender, I don't really have those concerns, but who knows? Could be an issue. He doesn't appear to have the longest arms to me. He doesn't have to have 35-inch arms like the guy from UCF. He just has to, exceed a certain length, right? That would give front office guys less worry about it. And I think he's fine in that regard. To you?
Yeah. To me, he looks the part of a Ravens outside linebacker, physically. No, that I don't have any concern about that. I don't know that. Is he 280? I think that's I've seen him listed there.
People have him listed at 280. People have him listed at 272. I wasn't sure what to type there. I will say this. What I really like about him is he played his best football against the best teams they played this year. And that was in the college football playoff. He was fantastic.
He was against A&M. Was it A&M, right? Yeah.
Oh, I mean, all 4 games. Yeah. If you go look at his stats, he had 2 sacks against Indiana. I think he had a sack against A&M, but he had 2 other really nasty pass rushes. Again, I'm going to refer people to the Google Drive that we've got. And like I said, it'll be in the description and the live chat that you can click on, and you can literally watch the 2 cut-ups that we've made. Some of it is just his sacks from 2025. And then there's one that's just the one that I've got running on my screen right now is the college football playoff run. He dominated 2 reps against Ohio State in pass rush situations. Indiana had 2 sacks. I think he belongs on the field next year, day one, especially in pass rush situations. Against the run, that's a different conversation.
Yeah. I'd like to see him be a little bit better against the run, particularly that as big as he is. I don't know how much he's being asked or would be asked in the first year to really do that. Would you take him, Coach? Would you take him in a trade back, let's say?
A trade back looks great to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, trade back, it depends on how far back we're trading. I mean, if you're talking about – I wouldn't want to see us trade back to like mid to late 30s. And let's say you end up with, 37, 45, and then someone else's, I don't know, 65 or 72 or something like that. Mm-hmm. The Raiders interest me for real. The Raiders have pick 1 and then I think pick 33. Mm-hmm. They really, to me, look like a team that I could see pursuing a trade with the Ravens. 33 and something else for our 14. I don't pretend to know what the math is, and I actually don't think it fits for the Raiders as far as what else they have. I think they go 1, 33, and then I believe there is a pretty wide gap. I think they're missing a pick, but I might be wrong there. I think there's a gap between either their 2nd and 3rd or their 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, you'd have to get something next year then, if that's the case. I would think a 1 or a 2 plus something.
A lot of the guys in the Ravens Discord, and I think I'm in agreement. They feel like the sweet spot for this draft is 25, 28, somewhere in that range, 45, 52, and then 80, because we've got pick 80, right? 14, 45, 80.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of guys have done some mocks and posted them, and when you look at it, you're like, wow, that's 3 or in some cases 4 really good football players that you're able to grab. So yeah, I mean, in a trade back scenario, I do like him from a pass rush standpoint. Keeping in mind that we've got Tavius Robinson, who's going to be on the field in run situations and possibly rush on the inside. Assuming that Draymond Jones comes back, I think you made this point about another player, but if you have Mesidor, Draymond Jones, some combination of Matabike and Travis Jones, and then Mike Green
Mhm.
rushing the passer. I feel like that's a pretty good group. Where are you at with that?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I think bringing Draymond back is huge. I mean, the idea that you could bring somebody in as a pass rush, more or less a pass rush specialist, and I think he's got the physical makeup to become a better run defender, particularly if he's hanging out with Tavius Robinson, and getting
Yeah,
coached up and
they're
under
both
mentored.
Canadian. I think he's from Ottawa.
This guy?
Mesidor, I think Mesidor's from Ottawa.
Interesting. Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
And I think he did high school there for a couple of years, and then I think he did high school in the States, and then obviously college. Um,
Mhm.
so I like his game. I really really enjoy the effort from him against the pass. I don't know that it sticks out the same way in my brain on run plays at him, but his tenacity, the way he finishes plays, particularly at the quarterback. Go watch the Indiana game. There's even a couple of times where he's close to Mendoza, but not actually sacking him. But the effort, he's like diving at times,
Hmm.
and there's this. I wonder how many snaps he plays, because the effort level that's there on some of these 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 6s that I see, it makes me wonder, was he on the field for 1st and 2nd down? Because he's bringing
Right.
it. He's bringing it like someone who just came on the field on 3rd down.
Yeah. That was fairly consistent, I thought, with Miami
They
all
play
across
like they
all
play
across.
like they're angry at the world on
Yeah.
defense, and I love it. I thought good for Miami, and that I think it's great for football that Miami football is so fantastic. Mario's done a great job.
Yep.
Um, do you want to lead us off talking about Zion Young?
Sure. Um, yeah, Zion Young. Forgive me for these pages turning fast.
Oh, you're good. I don't know
Um,
if people like the picture or not. We like the pic, but maybe the font or the text there is not showing up great. But certainly got the athletic talent and the body and the length that everyone wants. Right, the JPP comparisons, I get it. He
yeah.
looks like him.
Yep. Yeah. He's a good looking athlete, no doubt about it. That's the first note. Big, looks good. Um, that when you watch him as a pass rusher, not much going on. I think he's really figuring that part of it out, and it's a bull rush where he gets his feet stopped, and that's pretty consistent. I really didn't see too much of him as a rusher. Um, I am really pleased by him versus the run. I thought,
Hundred
of
percent.
the guys we've watched, um, I think he's ready. I think he's ready to set the edge, and that says a lot for me.
Yeah, later on we'll do once we're done with all three of these guys tonight, or as we record, we'll do our individual best pass rusher, best run defender of the six that we've talked about so far. Between the first version of this and the second one, and hey, if you have Zion Young number one against the run, I can't argue there. I know that two different rating services have him ranked incredibly high as a run defender.
hmm. I did watch him, and you and I talked a little bit about this because he was. I guess I can use the word poor, as a pass rusher when you're looking at him as a possible first round guy.
Absolutely.
Underdeveloped, let's say. I did go back and watch his Senior Bowl one-on-ones where he actually showed some pass rush moves. He was
Mhm.
quick. He had a bull rush, a jerk, a swim. The things you expect to see, and they
Yeah,
did show up a little in the 11 on 11s. But
but
I
not on
don't know how
film at
much.
all.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know how much stock to put into that
Yeah.
those reps. I really I place more stock in the tackles, watching how the tackles play. But
Watching him play in the SEC, just didn't see the confidence and the smoothness to pull off those moves. And when he did at times attempt some of those moves, they were, either a little late in the actual application or execution of it, or the hand placement was off. I mean, I think there's a lot of room for growth with the pass rush moves. To go from Mesidor to Zion Young talking about pass rush moves, you might as well be talking about a 4-year vet at the NFL level versus a rookie because there's that big of a difference. Having said that, great length, great frame, exceptional motor too. I mean, moves laterally very well. I did think that the first 2 games I watched, his best plays were made when he was unblocked, when he didn't have to deal with anyone on him. But when I got to the 3rd and the 4th game, I think I got him against Kansas. This is South Carolina. Another South Carolina. I can't remember who that. There's an early season game against someone that's not, power 4 level. But great motor. Gets to the football, and he's on the field a lot. He played a lot of snaps. The bull rush is definitely what he relies on. And it seems to me as if the bull rush doesn't work, there's just not well defined or well executed counters off of it at all. I mean, it's just not there.
Yeah.
On film.
When that's what you have, I wrote down no plan, and comparing him to Mesidor, Mesidor is just natural. I wouldn't even say that there's a plan in place, but it's an approach, and it doesn't seem to me Zion has an approach. He seems a little approachless.
Some people won't get this, and maybe some people won't like it. I like combat sports analogies or basketball, and for me, he reminds me of Deontay Wilder, the boxer that, from a boxing technique standpoint, wasn't, great, didn't necessarily have flowing combinations and things like that, but had just incredible jaw-dropping power.
Yeah.
And could finish a guy, and the power for him also extended to the 10th round, which is extremely rare, whereas Mesidor is the Deontay Wilder fought a Cuban gold medalist who was older at one point, and that guy had better skills than Wilder, but Wilder beat him twice. And so for me, the Mesidor Zion Young, this is a horrible analogy, but Zion Young is Wilder. He's got great length, great physical skills and attributes. It'll be interesting, the combine. I mean, if he goes out there and runs a fast 40, I could see that. And then if he's able to, look good in the drills, I could absolutely see him being taken, earlier than a lot of people like myself think he, quote, should be. I don't think he's a guy that you're going to take at 18 or 24 and say he's going to be on the field for me 55 times next year because he's better than everybody else we've got. I just don't think he is better, for the good teams in the NFL. The teams picking in the late 20s, in the 30s. But I could be wrong. He could be off the board. Heck, he could be the third. He could be the third guy off the board.
Absolutely, yeah. I think if you look at him in the abstract, you think, and this is going to sound harsh, but you think, well, this is a guy that would be taken in the late 2 or early 3 because he's got so much potential, and he's ready now. To my mind, he's ready now to stop there. But each draft is different.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely got upside for sure.
100%. I don't think for the Ravens he's an option at 14 at all. Not at all. In a trade back scenario like Mesidor, maybe. If he's there at 45, and let's do it this way. Let's say you haven't brought back Draymond Jones, which I think myself, you, me, Jake Howlett, Femi, Ian Badejo, the other guys I've been doing some stuff with lately, we all want Draymond Jones back. If you can't re-sign Draymond Jones and you don't go outside linebacker at 14 and Zion Young is there at 45, you take him, right? I mean, you take him. But to use this player's name is probably inflammatory. I don't know that he even comes in with the pass rush moves that Odafe Owe had as a rookie. It's that rudimentary an approach. But he's got the length, he's got the strength, and a great motor. I mean, he just doesn't stop playing. So there's a lot to like. If he was there at 45, which he won't be, if he was, you go get him if you haven't addressed the position already.
Could he have a kind of Clowney impact if a year down the road?
Same style, straight line.
Mhm.
A straight line attack.
Yeah.
Um, I can see that. I wonder about him about whether he's actually 6'6". Sometimes I look at him and I'm like, he looks taller than 6'5" to me.
He is a long dude, but put together. Like
Yeah,
the long legs, long arms. Yeah, he's a big dude.
and he played against a high level competition too. I think that's important. He played in the SEC. Um, he's going to get a chance this week with the combine starting. I guess as we record this, it's Monday night, but starting. I think the drills start on Tuesday for some groups, right?
Yeah, I think we're 23rd. That's tomorrow, or that's
Yeah.
this morning.
Really, really would like to see how he performs because I feel like the Senior Bowl and a solid combine could move this guy up, you know, quickly. Trade back scenario looks, good for the Ravens. I just don't know that, to be honest with you, for Baltimore, if you're talking about 1st and 10, even though his relative strength is against the run, I don't think he's better there than Tavius Robinson right now.
Probably not.
So 1st and 10 in 2026, week 1, I don't think he's on the field on 1st and 10, a run scenario, 12 personnel, 21 personnel. I think Tavius Robinson is, and probably Mike Green.
Yeah, and you're not bringing him off expressly to rush the quarterback the way you would bring Howell, let's say.
Howell or Mesidor, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good player, fun to watch.
Say that again.
Good player, fun to watch. There's a lot of talent on Mizzou's defense. I do like Josiah Trotter, the inside linebacker.
I like him too. Yep.
Yeah. There's a safety. I forget his name. I think it's Banks, but I could be wrong. Who's pretty underrated. The defensive tackles. One of them is 7 and one of them is 11. I have no idea who they are. I don't even know if they're in the draft this year. But there seem to be times where, and I wonder about this. Zion Young had this like hard-coded bull rush, and they were playing some kind of game on the inside. I almost wonder if the scheme was, I don't want to say limiting him, but narrowing his available pass rush, stuff. And maybe that's why in the Senior Bowl you saw a wider variety of moves, like you said.
That may be. And guys will get a close-up look at that. And to your point, if that's the case, he probably will jump up the boards.
Yeah. All right. I know this is one of your favorite guys to talk about, right?
I like him.
1 second. R. Mason Thomas. I had a lot of fun watching Oklahoma's defense. I think you said the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Odd front. I mean, not odd fronts in the vernacular of having 3, but just unusual fronts where they would line guys up. Unusual alignments, I thought.
Did you think the Flores analogy made sense or no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, early down mug looks. I don't know if this surprised you a lot, Coach, but we were talking about it earlier. I was surprised how often Thomas is lined up inside.
It makes it a little difficult to evaluate him at times. And the font on the screen, maybe I have it. It doesn't look like it's the backgrounds. I missed the mark here. I swung and missed. It's on the left-hand side for you guys would be, strengths. First step, burst, low pad level, etc. He's only 6'2", 250. On the right would be weaknesses. I should have explained that. And again, if you click in the Google Drive, there is no R. Mason Thomas video like there is for Mesidor or Zion Young. So, there's a folder there that you can look at. It's got individual plays. But what EA is talking about, and I saw it as well, he's lined up in the B gap a lot, whether it's a 4-eye or a 3 technique. And it works. I mean, Oklahoma knows what they're doing. They are very, very reminiscent of a Brian Flores structure where pieces are moving around pre-snap, and there's a lot of confusion, not just for the quarterback, but there's confusion for the offensive line. And, sometimes Thomas stood up to those guards, and sometimes he did get dislodged. He don't belong in there. He doesn't belong in a B gap. I like his burst, and I definitely like his low pad level. You referenced it, kind of getting up under tackles sometimes, even in the even in pass game, right?
Yes, I mean, uh, that was something I thought he used his, let's say, diminutive stature to his advantage. Really plays low man wins, even against guys 40, 50 pounds heavier than him. He can push them three back, off the edge. I saw him blow up tight ends, which is what you want to see, but tackles at times. Versus Ole Miss, he's getting under the pads of these big old 6'6", whatever, 310 pounders, pushing them back into a puller 3 yards deep in the backfield. And I saw that a lot with him. I was surprised. You do see him get engulfed on the edge, let's say.
Yeah, it's happened. Yeah.
Yep. And I don't know if I'm imagining this but there were 2 plays in particular I saw where he just missed a tackle. We always talk about that with inside linebackers, and it's hard for me to take myself seriously when I say that 1 inch might make a difference there, but it jumped into my head when I saw that.
Yeah.
But, just a pass rusher, I think. Fun to watch. Much better against the run than I thought.
Yes.
And he can convert speed to power. That's that old cliche, but he can. And thought he was good on stunts. I didn't think we saw much out of him dropping, and he looked
in the coverage.
when they
No.
asked him.
Coverage, no. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
It would be. I would lump him in with Mesidor from the standpoint of and Zion Young also, that it's not there. As far as what they might be asked to do occasionally, dropping looked a little uncomfortable, unaware maybe at times. They just didn't ask Zion Young to do it. He's more of a 4-3 D end. I thought, and you mentioned this when we were talking beforehand, I thought there were some times where R. Mason Thomas's activity level was lower, but generally plays the game really hard. That defense is high energy. I think they're very well coached. A lot of fun to watch. I wish I had time to watch more of Oklahoma's defense, really reminiscent of the Flores structure in Minnesota. But to me, there was some moments where you're kind of looking at R. Mason Thomas like you're buying a ticket right now. You're watching instead of pursuing. Find out if something happens before the whistle blows. You said you saw the same thing, right?
A couple times, yep. And I kind of let him off the hook because I saw it, I think, in the same game twice, and I wasn't sure I saw it again. And plus,
I think he got hurt against one of the. I'll look it up. I think it was Tennessee. I think he got hurt against Tennessee this year, and all of a sudden the film stopped in the second quarter for me. I wish I watched college football live. I just don't have time. So I think that's one of the concerns. I have it on the screen, is that he's had a couple of ankle injuries, maybe 3.
Mm-hmm. Went back and watched him in 24. He looked like the same pass rusher. I'm not sure when he got banged up, or if it was during that year or before that. But it's a hard evaluation because he's a really good football player. He's probably, we both agree, he's probably the one that's left standing at 45. Probably.
Yeah. And out of the guys that we've evaluated or we've met to talk about, Cassius Howell, T.J. Parker, Gabe Akas in the first video, and then now AKHEEM Mesidor, Zion Young, and R. Mason Thomas. Certainly, we think he'll be the last guy taken in the draft of that group, and he's the guy that will be most likely to be there at 45, right?
I think so. What do you think of that, Coach? Particularly if you're bringing back Draymond Jones, do you think he's somebody the Ravens would pick?
I look at him compared to, because that's a second-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at him compared to like an Adisa Isaac, who, 6'3", 255, 260 range, somewhere around in there. And regardless of what I think about the pick of Isaac from a couple of years ago, I've made my, opinions well known about that. I'm just not sure that he's better, if Adisa Isaac is healthy, finally, I don't know that R. Mason Thomas is on the field in front of him. But I could be wrong. I think it would be a competition between those two guys for the limited reps that are available if a Draymond Jones is back and Tavius Robinson and Mike Green are getting a lot of snaps. I guess we're looking at who's the fourth guy in the hierarchy there, I guess, unless I'm forgetting someone.
Yeah.
I think I would personally not take him at 45 if we had brought back Draymond Jones.
Hmm.
If we had not brought back Draymond Jones in free agency, you may have to take him or someone else at 45 to address the position, because what may be there at 80 wouldn't be a guy who's going to beat out an Adisa Isaac. I think R. Mason Thomas would give Isaac a run for his money in terms of actually getting on the field. I like the way he plays football. Like you said, I think it would be an easier evaluation if he weren't asked to play a 4-eye or 3 technique, whatever,
Yeah.
so often, even on 1st and 10. I mean, like I said, I've got it in the folder. So if you guys are, tracking this long, 35 minutes in, thank you very much. I'm not going to show the film, but you're welcome to check it out yourself with a couple of clicks of a button and see what EA and I are talking about. That he was asked to play in the B gap on 1st and 10 rundowns. And at some point for me, I don't know about you, I kept thinking, I guess this is just what they do.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I was surprised. That really surprised me. I was pleasantly surprised generally by him because I knew he could rush the quarterback. I don't know if he's big enough to hold up or not. I can't say, but I think he plays the run well.
Yeah. From a size standpoint, he's in line with Cassius Howe.
Mm-hmm.
From a size standpoint, maybe the arm length is different. We'll find out this week. So to compare those two is a little unfair because Cassius Howe is playing out on the edge outside with some width.
Right.
And R. Mason Thomas was consistently asked to be in the B gap. So I think the evaluation of him, even maybe my own saying I wouldn't take him at 45, even maybe my own is a little bit unfair or incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
Because would you say it was 6 or 8 plays a game? There would, to be honest with you, the film I watched, I'd say it was almost 10.
Where they lined him up inside?
Yeah.
It was not an anomaly. I'm not sure. It was often. And it was kind of striking.
If someone told me it was 10 times a game on average, I would believe them. It was that often.
Do you watch the 3 tech out of Oklahoma? I forget his name.
I mean, he's a super good player. Yeah, I don't have it saved. This has been good for me doing the positions like this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm quicker to get my plays done. And people can see it. In the Google Drive, if you click on it, like I said, you can see that that's one of the reasons why I do that is to prove that I actually am watching the film, and you put videos out that I actually am watching the film and not just talking from broadcast view or whatever NFL Draft Buzz has for a guy.
Right. Yep.
Do you want to rank?
Oh gosh,
some of these guys.
If I can reserve judgment, reserve the right to change my mind tomorrow or something.
I'll go first, so I can be wrong first. So what we're going to do is EA and I have done 2 of these videos. One of them was on Cassius Howe, T.J. Parker, and Gabe Akers. I felt like Gabe Akers deserved to be in that group because of the completeness of his game, along with the size. That's why Akers was included there by me. Mesidor, Zion Young, and R. Mason Thomas, to me, are very distinct as far as their strengths or weaknesses. Mesidor, the pass rush, Zion Young against the run, R. Mason Thomas, size is a concern, injury history perhaps as well. And so that's why Akers was included with that first group. We're ignoring Reuben Bain and David Bailey because they're not going to be there at 14. This isn't 2022 where Kyle Hamilton falls to 14. There's just no way those 2 guys fall that far.
Unless you're Bucky Brooks.
Yeah.
Bucky Brooks had us taking Bain at 14.
Thank you, NFL.
Yeah.
Wow. Freak of nature, So what we're going to do is we're going to rank these 6 guys, only the 6 guys that we've done. And we're going to rank them pass rush, and we're going to rank them against the run. And I think we've got a little bit of a differentiation between us 2. So I'll do pass rush first. For pass rush, I have Howe, number 1, and then Mesidor, number 2. And I feel like those 2 guys belong in the same bucket for pass rush. And Akers and Parker, I've got in a virtual tie for 3-4. I like both of their length and aggressiveness, and Parker's hand usage, precision stands out to me like a professional boxer. And then Zion Young, his pass rush is clearly lacking, like we talked about. R. Mason Thomas and him, does the length for Zion Young make him a better pass rush option in the NFL versus R. Mason Thomas? Maybe. But from a technical standpoint, what they can do right now, I think R. Mason Thomas is probably a better pass rusher. But projecting for the NFL, that might be inverted. So I had Howe, Mesidor, Yakas, and Parker tied, and then Young and Thomas being, yin and yang or give and take.
Yeah, we're not that far off. I had Howell first, and I had Zion Young last. So we have those the same. I put Thomas second as a pure pass rusher.
Mm-hmm. I can see it.
And Mesidor third. And I was the same as you. I couldn't pick between Parker and Yakas, but I had them fourth, I thought.
What's crazy is – go ahead. Sorry,
Yeah, that's okay. Howell, Thomas, Mesidor, Parker fourth, and that Parker and Yakas fourth with Zion Young taking up the rear.
What's interesting for me about Parker is when I first started watching Parker film before this past season, I was watching 2024 film. So he had an amazing season in 2024. He forced 6 fumbles, I think 11 sacks, maybe 11 and a half, something like that. His numbers are down, suppressed in 2025. But when I first watched the film from 24, I was like, all right, this guy's a legit top 10, top 12, top 15 pick. And then when I watched the film from 25, the effort was there, the sharpness, the precision of the pass rush moves was there, but the production was not. And then during this process with you in the last 2 weeks, I've gone back to, wow, I really like TJ Parker. So it's, I'm very inconsistent.
It's interesting, we rank them differently in terms of pass rush, or we're going to get to the run in a second, but he might be my number one fit, in terms of he might be, he's up there as my number one fit for the Ravens out of these.
Balance. Yeah. Balance. And I think probably of the guys him and Yakas, maybe more so Parker than Yakas, 3 down guys probably from day one, depending on where they go, depending on what defense, where they end up, what city they end up in, right? Maybe for the Ravens, maybe not, but I think Parker is got some balance. Let's do run game first. You want to do that one first since I did pass rush first?
Sure. I put first will be last will be first. I got Zion Young first versus the run, then Parker, TJ Parker second. And then just in terms of technique, I've got Mason Thomas again at 3, Yakas at 4, Mesidor 6, Howell last.
Yeah. Very similar to what I've got. I mean, Howell, I think the caveat for us, or definitely for me, is if it's a run play away from Howell, he's elite.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to track it down.
He also might be the best in terms of dropping and in terms of matching up.
Coverage.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. He can, he matched running backs, he matched tight ends, and he was on the correct leverage side. What we saw, and you and I, we don't even communicate about which games we watch generally, but when, I think we're pretty much in alignment for the most part. For me, as far as ranking them, the thing for TJ Parker that holds him back from the run is run plays away. Neither one of us saw him tracking things down from the backside. He ain't slow. It looks like his projection is going to be like a 4.65 or a 4.7. So he's not slow, but he just didn't close down. Even on zone read give stuff, he didn't.
Yeah, he does look a little off there, a little slow, processing and also moving.
Yeah, so for me, that separates him from Yakas against the run. I think I had Young 1A, Yakas 1B, Parker 3, and that's because his work, Parker on run to him is really good. is really good. I really like him against tight ends, even at the NFL level. So I think that's going to be, I think he can play 3-4 outside linebacker. I think he can play 4-3 defensive end with his hand in the ground, 3-point stance. Mason Thomas, I think I had in the same spot as you did. And then I had Howell above Mesidor against the run. And the reason why is I felt like Howell was a little more aware of where the run was going, but Howell is so explosive on these third downs. I've got two different times where he's getting upfield and they're running up underneath of him. I talked about that in the last video. So I felt like Howell's effort was more there than Mesidor's against the run, and I could be wrong. So we're almost inverted. There's definitely Parker and Akis are the more balanced of the guys. I guess maybe Thomas as well, right?
Mm-hmm. I would say the same thing about Howell that I said about TJ. I put him at the back end, but I'm going to say right now he's probably my guy out of these six. If you had to have one of these guys
at 14, at 14, yeah, I'm not taking any of these other guys at 14 other than Cassius Howell.
Yeah, I think 14 might seem a little rich, but I don't think you get an edge rusher in this draft if you wait.
Yeah, he's super.
Meaning like an impact year one guy. I love the idea of, let's say, Howell with what's the guy, Casey, Ohio State? Is that his name?
Oh, Curry. Yeah, Curry late. You mean? Yeah, interesting idea. Wow.
I love the idea of double dipping and getting him in there with Howell. So yeah, I mean, I don't need Howell right away to come in and stack and shed. I don't think he'll be asked to do that.
Mm-hmm. Curry looks like another Brent Urban. He's not as tall, but he's got the same. I can play, defensive tackle. I can play defensive end, 5 technique, 9 technique, generally to the boundary, but you can do a little bit of everything. So, yeah, that's a great pairing there. Wow, you're talking about like a fourth
maybe
for Curry. It just really, just watching the film, I just must be really, really wrong if Caden Curry falls to those late 5th round picks, like some people are saying. Then I just have I don't have the ability to evaluate these guys, because when I look at Caden Curry film, I see a late 3rd round into 4th round, maybe late 4th round pick, but I don't see him getting past all those 4th round comp picks in any universe.
Yeah, they've got him. I've seen him listed around 200, which he's just a good football player who will spill his guts. And those guys, those are back end 3, early 4.
Just doesn't make sense to me. I agree with you that Howell is the only guy I'd consider at 14 in a trade back. Let's say 24, 25, 26, something like that. I feel like it starts to open up, more as who you might be comfortable taking. 33 with the Raiders, like I mentioned earlier. Then I think guys like, maybe a Mesidor or a Zion Young become a possibility. But, there's offensive line options at 14. You can take who you want. If you want to take an offensive lineman at 14 that you really shouldn't take until 25 or 30, you can do that. It's your relative weakness on this team. And so if they're serious about addressing it, maybe that's what they do. But to your point, if you wait till 45, you're not getting any of these 6 guys that we've talked about, other than possibly our Mason Thomas, probably, right?
Mm-hmm. I was watching the Vega, the guard at Penn State, and I'll see the same thing that I'm sure everybody else is seeing in him. And you can see that you could put him in the line. He'd be a day 1 starter.
Yep.
But there are some guards that you can get in the 2nd round that maybe aren't as good a pass protector as him.
Right. The drop off isn't. Yeah.
I don't think you can get an edge guy in round 2 that's going to have an impact.
I think that, the same thing exists for corner in most drafts. And I might be generalizing here that I think it exists with this one, which is that you're going to have guys on the field this year from day 1, starting corners, who are taken in the 3rd and 4th round. Look at the Chargers, 2024. They draft Cam Hart and Tarheeb Steele. Both of those guys have started for them the last 2 years. They didn't miss a beat with this, the whole Asante Samuel situation. And in fact, they just kept on rolling under Minter, which is, I think some people in our Ravens Discord have consistently talked about that. Hey, do we need to go corner in round 2 when it looks like we have a guy who can succeed, thrive, in fact, with corners taken in the 4th or the 5th round? I think there's depth at the 3rd, 4th round, definitely 3rd round corners. The drop off is the slope is more flat versus the edge defender drop off is steep, distinct.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we should. I think you were talking about this earlier. Maybe we should try to dig in at some point to a 3rd and 4th round corners.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Because we need one. We need a corner.
Mm-hmm. This is a fun type of thing for me to do. I think it is for you too. I don't know if people watching enjoy it because we're just talking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, you can watch the film if you want at the click of a button. So doing the best I can to make that available to you while we talk, and certainly not as much fun as showing the film. If you're in my Ravens Discord, you can watch all the film you want because I post it all in there, and people can watch it with down and distance and some descriptors or evaluations. I think we would like to do another one of these once we get past this week. I don't know if I'm really ready to look off of edge defenders. I've got 2 ideas for you, and I'll catch you off guard here. We can either do the Ohio State guys thing, defense guys,
Mm-hmm.
or we could look at edge defenders / hybrid guys like a Caden Curry and others if you want to. It's entirely up to you.
Yeah, give me some names. Curry. Anybody else
Yeah.
jumping out at you?
Guys that could play a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you mean? I'm not.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm not sure. I've been so focused on these guys. Let me. I'm not sure that Dennis Sutton is in the same boat as being able to move inside, but he's certainly big and strong. I guess what I'm saying is some other edge defenders that
Yeah.
are certainly going to be there in the 45 to 75, maybe even 80 range. The
Yeah.
3rd tier, if we want to call it that.
Yeah, let's do it.
LT Overton from
Yeah.
Alabama.
Yep.
Sutton, Curry. There's a guy from LSU who I like a lot when I see the film, and his name is Jack, I think, Pryburn, number 44. The LSU defense had some talent. Derek Moore is one that we haven't talked about, so we could maybe do another one of these if you like.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. We'll do that. Maybe 4 or 5 guys, with a lesser look. I'm a big fan of Curry, but I recognize that we want more athleticism out there. So Curry, I feel like is what do you call it? Like a throw in. He's a bonus if you're able to grab him.
It's funny you said Brent Urban. That was exactly the first thing jumped in my mind when I watched him play.
Yeah.
I
We
think
certainly got a lot of picks. We got a lot of picks.
Yeah. He's more athletic than Brent, but that jumped into my head.
Yeah, really good with his hands. Curry was a guy that was super highly rated as a recruit, but didn't live. I think he's from Indiana originally, but I could be wrong. So, well, these are fun for me to do, and for you, I'm sure as well. But the only bad thing is I end up stopping watching that player's film and just moving on to the next guy.
Yeah. Well, hopefully now that we've been doing these, I've been making more notes, pen to paper. But I'm the same way. Once I do a video on somebody, I sort of forget them. If you talk to me in 3 weeks, I can't remember what I liked about them or didn't like about them. So these notes are going to help me, I think.
Well, that's where if you help me with the draft board, then it'll be, well, it won't be pen on paper. It'll be on the computer.
This year, Coach, you and me are going to. Well, I don't want to speak for you, but if you want to do the a live stream.
Oh yeah.
This year.
During the draft?
Yeah.
100%. I want to get the other system up and running, the more attractive presentation style that Eric set up for us. So it still, had difficulty trying to get that done. There's a handful of other guys. Maybe let's pick 4, maybe 5 for the next one, and then be done with edge defenders. As far as what, you and I do is here. A lot of fun, man. If if you had a perfect scenario for free agency and the draft for edge defender, what would it be?
Draymond. This is going to seem just for the okay. Draymond and Howell. I'd like to see us even with Draymond Jones double dip, the two that we just talked about.
Yeah.
There's a couple, but I'd be happy with a couple of these guys.
I think Howell is so enticing because he's a finisher. He's a closer.
He's a closer. Yep.
And other than Mesidor, none of the other guys we've talked about displays high-level finishing ability against the best talent they face. Mesidor's college football playoff run, I think he had 6.5 sacks in their 4 games.
I watched him.
Maybe it was 5.5. So they stand out. How of the group that we've talked about, Bain and Bailey are, they're in the top right corner as far as these guys. They're sick. So yeah, I mean, for me, I'd be happy in a trade back scenario if we brought in Draymond and we traded back, and we were able to get a Mesidor or a Parker. But that's contingent upon us addressing offensive line and free agency, which, Eric DaCosta kind of came out and burst that bubble in the last 48, 72 hours or so, that free agency is not what the Ravens are all about. I mean, we would be remiss to not go into this draft having addressed O-line somewhere. That would be a huge missed opportunity, in my opinion.
Yeah, it sure would be nice to have a guy that they pick up before the draft that he's going to start at right or left guard, or he could swing out. There's somebody like that.
Makes 14 a little more wide open. Also, how do I say this? NFL front offices can't track all of the other front office and roster situations in the league. However, we would really be operating at a low level of awareness as fans if we didn't think other teams look at each spot in the draft order, Ravens being one of them, 14, and saying, okay, well, they've addressed outside linebacker, they've addressed offensive line, their needs aren't as intense at 2 important positions, they may be more likely to trade back versus we don't re-sign Draymond. We don't re-sign Tyler Linderbaum and don't bring in a guard. We ain't trading back from 14. We're getting the best player available, hopefully at one of those positions of need. I guess my point is, if we do something publicly to address one of those positions of need, I feel like it makes the phone more likely to ring because our options look more wide open to the other professionals from the outside. Did I explain that the way that makes sense?
Yep, it does.
So
I keep watching Mesidor and wondering, I keep expecting him to be really good at the run. I think he might be. I think he might turn into a guy that can play the run.
Plays with who's the guy that we watch? I think there's 2 of this group of 6 that plays with just incredible fire. I think Howell and Mesidor. I mean, Young's got a great effort. He's got a great, pursuit. And also Gabe Akis. He's super underrated. I think Akis is underrated in this whole process. Maybe because he played for Illinois. I don't know, but he's another guy that I'd be really happy with in a trade back scenario. I want to do a draft, a mock draft. And with some options. So if you'd be interested in that, just let me know.
Sure.
All right, man. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. We like talking about the Ravens and we like talking to each other about the game, but this is less scripted than maybe we would have thought. I mean, we're not able to communicate consistently about what we think of these guys. So where we have alignment, it's organic. It's just from you watching the film and me watching the film and then having some overlap for our opinions of these guys. But I kind of like it when we don't, because I find myself in so much agreement with you. I kind of like him looking for opportunities for us not to agree on a guy.
I think it's good because there's a lot of times during the week where I want to call you or text you and say, man, did you see this? What do you think of this? But then I don't, because I want to see it, you know, how we
Right.
both see it, you know.
I want to. That's right. Right. Like I texted you, 3 or 4 days ago or something, and it was about Mesidor, and we were, both comparing, and I was like, the thing about Mesidor is he's so abrupt. Him and Parker. Howe gets underrated here for his hand usage. He gets underrated in that regard, and I can't wait to see his measurements at the combine. I hope for his sake. Well, if his arm length measures in the Micah Parsons range, Micah Parsons was 31.5, so it's not. If he measures 31.5, I think he's gone before 14. But it doesn't look like he's going to. It looks like he's going to be 31 or sub 31.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, appreciate your time. First of all, EA, once again, and all of you guys that sat and listened and watched. Again, I'll refer you to the Google Drive. You're welcome. It's up. It's active. Not moving it until after the draft. If you want to check it out, you're more than welcome to. I'll put, when we do move on to the corners spot, I'll put corner film in there as well. Cool. If you guys enjoyed the video, please let us know in the comment section, number one. And then number two, if you think other Ravens fans would like to hear, our thoughts about these three players specifically, but also what the Ravens might do and how we could, create the best roster possible, but specifically at the edge defender position, then please consider grabbing a link to this video and sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.